Hello, I'm Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Goodine, pastor of Church on Will Spoken Word of Deltona, Florida. And this is another edition of Holy Week 2024. Today is day 5. Day 5 is called Maunday, Thursday. Maunday, Thursday. Now there's a lot that happened on Thursday. There's a lot. All 4 Gospels carry it. Matthew chapter 26, verses 17 to 75. Mark chapter 14, verses 12 to 72. Luke chapter 22, verses 7 to 71. And John chapter 13, starting at verse 1, and it goes all the way to chapter 18, verse 27. Now there's a lot that happened on Thursday. This was the first day of the unleavened bread when they would kill the Passover. And the disciples asked, where are we going to go to do the feast of the Passover? And so I want to read for you tonight a little bit of Mark chapter 12. And to know that Maunday, Thursday, it covers the Jesus washing. Now, not all Gospels, okay, but when you look at all the Gospels, John is the one that says that he was washing the feet. Then you have the announcement of the coming betrayal, where he said, one of you that going to betray me is going to dip with me, is going to sup with me and dip his hand into the drink. He announced the betrayal. Then they eat the Passover meal, which is what we do, communion. And it's something that Jesus instituted, communion. Then you had the prayer at Mount Olives, and then he got arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. So there's a lot that goes on Thursday that leads up to Friday. So today I want to read from you in the King James Version, Mark chapter 14, and I'll read a few verses of this. And the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, the disciples said unto him, Where wilt thou that we go and prepare that thou mayest eat the Passover? And he sendeth forth 2 of his disciples, and saith unto them, Go ye into the city, and there shall meet you a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him. And wheresoever he shall go in, say ye to the good man of the house, The master saith, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he will shew you a large upper room, furnished and prepared. There make ready for us. And his disciples went forth and came into the city and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. In the evening, he cometh with the 12, and they sat and did eat. Jesus said, Verily I say unto you, one of you which eateth with me shall betray me. And they began to be sorrowful, and to say unto him one by one, Is it I? And another said, Is it I? And he answered and said unto them, It is one of the 12 that dippeth with me in the dish. The Son of Man indeed goeth, as is written of him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. Good were it for that man if he had never been born. And then verse 22 starts, says, And as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed and brake it and gave unto them and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank of it. And he said unto them, This is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many. Verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine until that day that I drink it new in the kingdom of God. Now, that's just, 12 to 22. But in Mark, that goes all the way to verse 72. and it covers a lot. We just covering here in this part the betrayal, communion, and it doesn't cover the washing of the feet. But there's one thing I want you to understand, and I want you to get out of this. Back in verse 13, when he sent the disciples, he says, "Go ye into the city, and there shall meet you a man bearing a pitcher of water." Now there's something that's significant about that, is that during that time, the women were the one that carried the water. The women were the one that carried the water. Today, at this time, there was a man that was carrying water. Now the significance of that, in that this man on this day was carrying water. And that's usually a job that was reserved, that the women did. But this day, Jesus said, go in to the city and you're going to see a man carrying a pitcher of water, which meant that he's not going to be hard to find. He's not going to be hard to find. He's going to stick out like a sore thumb because he's a man carrying water, when that was back then, the women would carry the water. And this was the sign that wherever he goes, that's where you go. So in this instance, the man is significant in that the man was carrying water. And he said, now when you see this man carrying water, then you go into the house and you ask him, where is the guest chamber? Now, in Matthew, and I'm going to do Matthew, a couple verses, Matthew chapter 26, starting at verse 17. He said, now is the first day of the feast of unleavened bread. The disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? And he said, go in to the city to such a man, and say unto him, the master said, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus has appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. So here he's talking about, Matthew didn't signify that he was carrying water, but Mark signified that this man that you were supposed to meet is carrying a pitcher of water, which makes him stick out. And so here in Matthew says, go into the city to such a man. So I guess they told him, who to look for. Now when the evening has come, he sat down with the 12, and as they did eat, he said, verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? And he answered and said, he that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, thou hast said. And then he goes on and he does the communion. So on Maunday, Thursday, we have the finding of the upper room, which is going to find the man with the pitcher of water. Set up, go wash of the feet. You're going to have the eating of the bread, eating of communion, or the Last Supper as we call it. Then the betrayal, the Garden of Gethsemane, the prayer at Mount Olive, and all of those, what happens on Thursday. Maunday, Thursday. Now Maunday is Latin for commandment. Now if you think about the commandment that he instituted, communion. He said that as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remissions of sin. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So we see in Matthew's account and Mark's account of the beginning on Thursday. And then, you know, they don't talk about the washing of the feet. That's covered in John. But Matthew and Mark, they do the setup. Now Luke, when we talk about Luke chapter 22, starting at verse 7. And then he said, this is Luke's account. Then came the day of the unleavened bread when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter and John, saying, go and prepare us the Passover that we may eat. And they say unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare? And he said unto them, behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in. And ye shall say unto the good man of the house, the master saith unto thee, where is the guest chamber? Where shall I eat the Passover with my disciples? And he shall shew you a large upper room furnished. There make ready. And they went and found as he had said, and then they made the Passover. So here, and again he goes into communion. So if you see, Mark, Luke, and Matthew cover the synopsis of Jesus's Maunday, Thursday. Now, John chapter 13, starting at verse 1, and this is when he doing his deity. Now I'm going to show you how John covers it. It says, now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hand, and that he was come from God and went to God. He rises from supper and laid aside his garments and took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wash them with the towel wherewith he was girded. So John covers the washing of the feet, the deity of Christ. So you see, on Thursday, Maunday, Thursday, a lot occurred. Now you can read that. Now I'm not going to read all of that for you now. I just read some of it. But you can read Matthew chapter 26, verses 17 to 75. Then Mark chapter 14, verses 12 to 72. And then Luke chapter 22, verses 7 to 71. And then John chapter 13, verse 1 to chapter 18, verse 27. There's a lot that happened on Thursday. We have the finding of the upper room, finding the man with the pitcher of water, which makes him stand out, because that was the job that the women did at the time. They got the upper room, they prepared for the Passover, the institution of communion, and the acknowledgement of the betrayal. Then you will have the Garden of Gethsemane, the prayer at Mount Olives, and eventually his arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane. That is Maunday, Thursday, a quick snapshot of Maunday, Thursday. Day 5, the Thursday, or the Maunday, Thursday before Easter. Well, I'm Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Goodine, pastor of Church on Wheels Spoken Word out of Deltona, Florida. And this has been another edition of Holy Week 2024, Day 5, the Maunday, Thursday before Easter. May God have mercy on our souls.